On this episode of the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino, we discuss the additions of Nate Dreiling and Wes Goodwin to OU's staff. Then in FGTB, we discuss a great weekend for the Sooners and the Thunder. And then we finish up with our winners and losers of the weekend, where we discuss the shocking Luka Doncic trade. Please download and subscribe to the podcast, rate it 5 stars, and write us a good review. Follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. Just search Oklahoma Breakdown on any of those, and you'll find us. All right, our man Michael Hosty will kick this thing off. It's time for the Oklahoma Breakdown. It's a beautiful Sunday, February 2nd, and you're listening to the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino. Riverwind is Oklahoma City's premier casino experience, and there are so many reasons why Riverwind is consistently voted OKC's #1 casino, but it all starts with their amazing variety of gaming thrills and excitement. Riverwind's beautiful award-winning environment plays host to more than 2,800 of the latest electronic games, with a huge selection of table games, including blackjack, match, roulette, and Teddy's favorite, craps. No matter what your game, Riverwind has it in spades and hearts. And to learn more about their gaming promotions and entertainment options, all you got to do is visit riverwind.com. Riverwind Casino, good times, great rewards. Do you think the fan base is happy?
That's a great question.
Have you ever felt so much negativity from this fan base? The vibes are not great, and I was hoping that the announcement of the new hires would elevate the vibes, and I'm not sure that's what's going on here. I'm trying to figure it out. It's confusing.
Well, we've flipped to a world where we review no matter what happens, we try to find the negative in it. And I understand that to a degree, right? There's a lot of frustration out there because the last couple of years, and rightfully so. I happen to think that we're in a pretty strong position personally, but you just got to win. There's no denying that nobody's going to be happy with anything until we see the results.
I'm fine with that. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I want Oklahoma football to win. Let's talk about the new staff additions. Let's start with Nate Dreiling, Arkansas State defensive coordinator. He has now accepted the inside linebackers coaching job at Oklahoma. First was reported by our guy George Stoya. Good job, George. Way to go, man.
Yeah.
But now that it is officially official, Oklahoma's put out all their statements. What do you think, Ted?
Yeah, I'm happy with it. He's got a nice little pedigree. Played linebacker, D2, 4-time All-American, had 1,000,000 tackles. He's come up through the coaching ranks, been a defensive coordinator, took over that New Mexico State defense, did a great job, got the job at Utah State, which turned into a head coaching job. And then, as that whole thing shifted, he had just been recently named at Arkansas State, but coach's kid, his dad has won a bunch of state championships in Kansas, grew up around the sport. So I'm optimistic.
I'm with you. And you mentioned his time at New Mexico State. Did a really nice job on Jerry Kill's staff there, turning that thing around just in a couple years. The situation at Utah State last year was odd.
Yes.
Kind of thrown in the fire there, taking over as the interim head coach.
He was in Ireland on vacation whenever he got the call that he was now the interim head coach.
Is it weird that it makes me like him more that he vacations in Ireland?
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty good
like
deal.
That. I'm a fan.
Was just ordering a lunch in a pub in Ireland when he got the call. Pretty funny.
I like to imagine there was a Guinness draft just sitting right there by his side.
Let's be honest. He was probably 10 deep whenever he answered that phone.
I would love to have some footage of that phone call. Excuse me, what? But one aspect that I do think is important is the fact that he was a player. And whether it's right or wrong, when you played, especially when you played the position that you're coaching, you instantly have more credibility in the room. You just do. That's how locker rooms work, especially won a D2 national title, four-time All-American, D2 defensive player of the year. Like, I know it's D2, but still you recognize that guy could play.
Yep.
So that's automatically going to earn him a lot of respect in the locker room. And Ted, that stuff matters. It just does.
I don't think there's any doubt. And it makes a difference how you coach a position too, whenever you see it through the player's eyes. And it's not uncommon that, the position coach played the position, but it's not always the case. And in my mind, there's great position coaches, obviously, that didn't play the position, but it gives a level of comfort whenever you can coach through some stuff, having been there a little bit, what works, what doesn't, what's the best way maybe to view things, the process. I think it's definitely a plus.
I I think one of the most important things about a coach playing the position that he's coaching is he knows what you can't see out on the field.
Right.
There are a lot of coaches, just speaking from experience as a center, it's not as easy to see safety rotation as people think. When you have the ball in your hand and you're looking around and there's a 315-pound guy across from you, you can see it real easily from the TV copy and from the coach's tape. It's real easy, but having guys that actually know what it's like at that position is extremely helpful because they actually know what you can and can't accomplish at that position. Like, what is realistic? Does that make sense?
Yeah. There's the chalkboard, and then there's what actually is able to happen on the field.
It's like, why don't you just drive this guy 3 yards off the ball? And that's one of these things with Nate Dreiling is he's going to be able to work with these inside backers and just know what's possible, what's realistic at the position when it comes to what they're looking at, what they're keying, and just the level that they can play at with what they've got in that room. And one thing that I'm very interested in, Ted, is last season, the players consistently talked about how Zach Alley was a good balance when it came to the way that he handled things, his attitude, his demeanor, as compared to Brent Venables, and how they enjoyed that balance.
Mm-hmm.
And how his approach, how Alley's approach was different and maybe with some players landed a little better than Venables' constant approach of the intensity of 1,000 suns.
Right.
I don't know what Nate Dreiling's demeanor is like, but I'm very interested to see what type of coach he is. Inside backer, D2 stud. I got to feel like he's got a little crazy in him at the very least, but that is one thing that's going to be very interesting to me is the dynamic that Dreiling brings as compared to how Venables operates. And Dreiling's not the defensive coordinator like Alley was, so it's not quite the same, but I am interested to see if he's more of a mellow attitude type of guy or if he's a lot like BV.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. That'll be one of the fun things to watch is what is his personality? What's his demeanor like out there? What's the approach like with the players? With Venables calling it this year as DC, what is that relationship going to be like on a day-to-day basis? How involved is Venables going to be in the linebacker room? So yeah, I think all of that stuff, and I'm sure they had to have a lot of conversation about that before the deal was done, just to make sure everyone understands exactly what they're getting into. So yeah, but that is going to be the interesting thing is, what is his approach like with the backers, with the players, and not only how does that work and mesh with Venables, how's it work with the players as a group? Is he able to get the best out of that group? I hope so because we got a capable bunch. But I think you still have to recognize that even though I feel like we're in a good position, there's got to be a lot of growth between now and the fall.
As this has unfolded, I was starting to think like, why would Dreiling sign up for this situation? And I think some OU fans just look at it and go, dude, he was at Arkansas State. What do you mean? But it's not like, I mean, he was going to be the defensive coordinator there. He's just coming to be the backers coach at OU. But I have to assume that he viewed this as an opportunity that he just simply couldn't turn down because it's an opportunity for Nate Dreiling to learn from one of the best defensive minds in the history of college football. That may sound dramatic, but the resume is what it is for Brent Venables.
Mm-hmm.
BV is one of the best defensive minds we've ever seen in this sport. And I have to assume that Dreiling looked at that, and that was one of the biggest factors of, hey, let me go learn from this guy. I know that it's not the most stable situation. He's coaching for his job in 2025. Like everyone's talking about that, but it's an opportunity to learn from one of the best ever on the defensive side of the ball. I'm putting thoughts into his head, or I've just tried to reason everything out. I think that's got to play a huge part in his decision.
Yeah, I think so. Here's the thing. I know a lot of times people view it as, well, I don't know if you want to attach yourself to the situation at Oklahoma right now. The coaching linebackers at Oklahoma is a big deal. Being a position coach at Oklahoma is a big deal. It's Power Four, it's SEC football, and should things go well, and I hope they do, you position yourself really well moving forward for the type of jobs that you're going to be able to get. And here's the other thing: he was defensive coordinator at 3 different spots in the last 3 years. If things don't go well next year at Oklahoma, I don't think that he's going to be unemployed for very long.
Let's hope not.
Right.
Let's hope he's not on the move because that means things have gone well.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like it has to go well or you're never going to coach again. I mean, obviously the hope is that it does go well, and that's where everyone's effort's going to be pointed. But it's a fantastic opportunity. There's no doubt. And my guess is that probably 10 times out of 10, if you're the defensive coordinator and you got an opportunity to go coach a position at a big time Power Four, you probably take it.
Yeah. I mean, being the inside backers coach at OU it's a better job than being the DC at Arkansas State.
And
it's just
the other part of it is I don't believe that Venables wants to call the defense at Oklahoma forever. I think he's only calling it at Oklahoma next season just because of the situation that the program finds itself in. I mean, I could see very easily that if they get through this year, they have a successful year, and he is what Venables hopes he is, he would like to hand things off.
That's interesting because that was probably the biggest part of the press release for OU was that Venables was going to call the defense this season. And something you and I had talked about. We figured that was going to be the case, but is there anything do you have any more thoughts on that? Because we've talked about it on here already, but it's just a guy doing what he does best with his job on the line. Like that's just how it feels to me.
Yeah. Well, he called it in 23. They won 10 games. I know it was a different schedule, but he called it then. They had a lot of success. I have no problem with it. I think he can easily manage to handle play calling and be the head coach. He is definitely not the first person to do that, and he won't be the last to do it. And I continue to say the biggest factor in, I mean, because some of the game management stuff is the concern to me. The biggest piece of the game management stuff is how competent is the offense. The game management stuff becomes a lot easier when you have a good offense.
Football is easier when the entire team is good.
Yep.
That's insightful.
Yep.
That's good
Well, I'm
stuff.
here.
That's why people listen to this podcast
Well, I'm here, baby.
for hard hitting insight like that. It's so interesting that what just last week it was, hey, Jim Knowles might be the defensive coordinator at Oklahoma, and Brent Venables can assume the ultimate CEO role with Arbuckle handling the offense, Knowles handling the defense. And now he's just, that doesn't work out, and he is back in the thick of it.
Yeah. Which, after Zach Alley announced he was leaving, this is where I imagined we were going to end up. All right. That's what the early conversation was. The Jim Knowles thing threw a wild card in there. And I think that's one of the reasons some of this isn't viewed as some huge positive is because not very long ago there was the thought in a lot of our minds that perhaps Jim Knowles is going to come run the defense, and what a great spot we're going to be in. And after you're dealing with that, almost anything but that is going to be viewed negatively.
That's fair. You thought you were stealing Ohio State's defensive coordinator, but when you look at it over, let's call it the last decade, if you could pick any guy to run your defense, Brent Venables is probably your selection.
Yep.
So it's not like I don't feel terrible about it.
I feel good about it.
I think it allows Brent to do what he does best. And I'm hoping that it kind of, in a weird way, reinvigorates him, because it kind of feel like he's just backed into a corner. And there's just no doubt he's hearing all this stuff that people are saying publicly. And I mean, he's never been a guy to back down from a challenge.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, ultimately we'll judge this entire thing by how many games they win in the fall, but I'm kind of excited to see BV back in the saddle as the defensive coordinator. I won't lie.
I am. Yeah. And here's the thing. He's a football coach. There's some head coaches, the CEO type that, what they're best at is, walking the sidelines and, just overseeing a lot of stuff and dealing with donors and recruiting. Venables he's a football coach. He is best whenever he's in the mix when it comes to football. So I always go back to the simple fact that the reason he's the head coach here is because of how good of a defensive coordinator he is. It's the reason Lincoln Riley was head coach here. It's because of how good of an offensive coordinator he was. Right. So, I mean, I know we've got to win football games, and it'll be picked apart and viewed a million different ways until then, but I feel good about it.
I'm with you. All right, let's talk about the addition of Wes Goodwin to OU staff. But first, hitting the highway, remember to stop at Love's Travel Stops. You can't miss the heart of the highway, and with the Love's app, you can also save big. How big? 10 or 15 cents big. Save 10 cents per gallon on gas and 15 cents per gallon on auto diesel. Save with the Love's app today and be welcomed by clean places and friendly faces. Certain conditions may apply. See loves.com for details.
You listen to this podcast to get insight from the guys who played the game. Why don't you take that same approach when it comes to buying your beef? When you order from Didier Ranch, you are getting your beef directly from the people who raise it. A rancher knows what it takes to have premium quality beef. Didier Ranch has done it for over 100 years right here in Oklahoma. From delicious 21-day dry-aged ribeyes to savory steak burgers, there is no better place to get your beef. Get your beef from the guys who've done it and use code Oklahoma15 for 15% off on DidierRanch.com. Didier Ranch. Tradition tastes better.
And we are brought to you by Simple Modern, an Oklahoma-owned company and the official drinkware partner of the OU Sooners. Simple Modern recently launched a new, incredibly robust personalizer that allows you to create personalized drinkware for any occasion. You could get personalized water bottles for your kiddo's spring soccer team, or wow the one you love for her birthday or Mother's Day with something you create just for her. You can even upload your kiddo's artwork to be engraved on a bottle. Plus, with 10% of all Simple Modern profits going to charity, many in Oklahoma, you're also helping Oklahomans everywhere. Create something one of a kind on simplemodern.com. Simple Modern, it's good everywhere. Wes Goodwin will join the OU staff as the assistant linebackers / outside linebackers coach. I didn't know we had outside linebackers. Do we have outside linebackers?
Cheetah.
Is that an outside linebacker? Because when I think outside linebacker, I think like our Mason Thomas, but that's Chavis's.
Well,
those are Chavis's guys.
My guess is, and I don't know. My guess is he'll coach the Cheetahs and he'll coach the guys like the stand up whenever we're in some of the 3-man front and you have the stand up edge guy that drops into coverage. I think he'll coach those guys. But I guess I don't know the exact specifics of how that's going to work because all the Cheetah guys work with the linebackers in linebacker drills in individual.
We'll see. We'll get out there to a couple of spring practices and we'll see what Goodwin's doing. But I don't understand why people are so down on this. I don't get it. People are making it sound like Wes Goodwin's defenses at Clemson were an abomination. I know that there was an extremely high standard for defense that Venables set there. I went and looked it up. SP plus ranking for Goodwin's first year. They were the 14th ranked SP plus team in the country on defense in 2022. 2023, they were 21st. This year, they took a step back. They were 29th. People are making it sound like this guy was leading a defense in the hundreds.
Yeah.
And I understand that he wasn't retained at Clemson. I get that. But it's not like his defenses were god awful. And you got to remember his first year in 2022 when they had the 14th SP plus defense, their offense was not good. They were the 42nd offense in SP plus that year. In 2023, they were 51st. His first 2 years when they had really solid defenses, they weren't getting much from the offensive side of the ball. So I don't know. It's just some people are making it sound like Wes Goodwin just burned Clemson's defenses to the ground. That's not what the metrics say.
Right. No. And, they've had a couple of linebackers up for the Butkus Award while he was there.
What would you know about that?
We're not inheriting Clemson's defense. Wes Goodwin's not calling Oklahoma's defense. He knows the scheme. He knows Venables, and it's another set of eyes on the field, coaching on the field. Official title is assistant linebackers and outside linebackers coach. But he's got experience calling a defense. He's got experience preparing. I mean, just having the extra set of eyes around on defense, I don't think is a big deal whenever, like what you're getting him from Clemson is it's basically a no-brainer for Venables.
That's how I felt. This guy was leading Clemson's defense the last 3 seasons. Oh, by the way, they just played in the playoff. So I have to assume that Goodwin he's going to be a valuable asset for Venables. He's going to help in multiple areas. I also assume, I don't know this, but Clemson's still going to be paying him. I assume OU's going to be paying him like $50.
Yeah, they may not have to pay at all. They would just have to make up whatever difference is there. And I mean, I guess I don't know how all that rolls out, but you're right. I mean, that's why I say it's basically a no brainer. Um, you could have taken him as a defensive analyst, but now there's no limitations on field coaching. So give him a title, and we'll see exactly what his day to day looks like and who he's working with through individual. And you know, it's hard if you're coaching linebackers and Cheetah is in that. Whenever you're in like regular team drills, it's hard to watch the inside backers and the Cheetah spot. If you're the safety coach and you're coaching the safeties, it's hard to watch the safeties and the Cheetah spot. So the way I view it, it's going to be nice to have a set of eyes out there that are solely going to be focused on, wherever that ends up being. You're going to have a guy that's really experienced, extra set of eyes out there.
He knows what Venables is looking at when it comes to every level of the defense. So I think you can give him any position to watch, and he's going to be able to know what Venables wants. But I also think, and this is something that guys that have served analyst roles under Venables have talked about these last couple of years when Plank and I have interviewed him, is they do a lot of advanced scouting stuff. And now you have a guy that was just the defensive coordinator at Clemson for the last 3 years who has a good understanding of Venables' defense and what he wants. I would assume he's going to have a role in the advanced scouting stuff.
Yeah.
And when you have a guy that has that expertise, has that experience, he can expedite Venables putting together a defensive plan for each opponent. And there's a lot of value in that when Venables is the head coach and also the play caller. So I just think I'm really excited about the Goodwin addition.
Yeah.
I think it's a great hire. And I think he'll bring a lot of value to this program.
I think one of the best parts of it, if you talk to people, like one of the best parts about having Zach Alley is he knew what Venables wanted to see in practice. What plays they wanted to see drawn up and ran by the scout team. What plays they want to see again that maybe weren't played properly in a practice that they need to revisit the next day. Just some of those things that don't seem like much, but if you have people that kind of see things through the same eyes, it just expedites the system and makes it all function more efficiently.
I also like that he coached in the NFL for a while.
Yeah.
Now, it was a while back. A lot of guys on OU's roster may not even know who Bruce Arians is. Let's be real.
Right.
But, I mean, he was on Arians' staff from 2015 to 2017 with the Cardinals. It was part of a staff where they, went and lost in the NFC Championship game. And all these players want to go to the NFL. Goodwin's been there. He knows what it looks like. And that guy's opinion, when he's been there and he's seen it and he's done it, that type of person's opinion should carry weight with the guys in the locker room.
Totally agree.
Maybe I'm just trying to look at every positive of both of these guys, but I just think that both of them, Dreiling and Goodwin, I think they're both bringing a lot of value. And I'm excited about it. It makes me think that this defense can be even better than I thought it was going to be in 2025.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I can't find a bunch of negatives to say that because of the way that it's now set up, they won't. I think one of the big questions is what do each of these two new hires bring when it comes to recruiting? I mean, that's always something else that you got to factor in with coaches. Coaches are obviously critical on the field. What can they do football wise? But how can they find, evaluate talent, and recruit talent is a big piece of the puzzle as well.
Well, Goodwin's had a few guys drafted off that Clemson defense in the last 3 drafts.
Yep.
And then once again, I don't know Nate Dreiling at all. Don't know anything about the guy, but he's a month younger than me. I like to think I still have a lot of energy and I could go out there and recruit and, bring some energy to the living room. The guy was an inside backer. There's no doubt he's got juice for the recruiting trail. That is not a concern of mine at all.
I would imagine so. I think so.
I think maybe the biggest piece of this is something you alluded to earlier, Ted, is what does this mean for the overall management of the team on game day? Venables is calling the defense. He is going to be entrenched in the defense. So how does he handle that in games? Because you go back a few seasons when he was still calling it, and this was back before they had the iPads. This is when they were having guys drop the cards on the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
When the defense came off the field, he was in the middle of the defensive huddle going through the cards while OU's offense was on the field. And Matt Wells basically took over as head coach in those moments because he was running the defense. Now, that was not the case last year. Zach Alley was doing that stuff. Venables was completely engaged when the offense was on the field. I'm wondering what it's going to look like now that he's back calling it. Normally, your defensive coordinator, when the defense comes off the field, you're with the defense. But I just don't know. And if he is going to be with the defense, who serves the role of kind of game manager while he's working through those plays on the iPad?
No, it's a good question. And I don't even know. Do you know if Arbuckle has typically called it from the field?
He called it from the field last season at Washington State because he does a lot of running and jumping around. He's very hard to miss on tape.
See, I imagine if you've got an offensive coordinator that's calling it from the field, that fixes, because remember, Levy did not call it from the field.
He was from the booth, and then Matt Wells was
Correct.
Standing on the sideline while Venables was going through the plays with the defense.
Right. So if you have an offensive coordinator that's calling it from the sideline, as I imagine Arbuckle will, it helps that dynamic out a lot because you're typically fourth downs, are we going or are we not? And then into game time management stuff. And typically, like, the head coach is he's not going to be over there in the defensive huddle if they've gotten the ball back for the offense to go run a 2-minute drill, perhaps. But again, that's why I say that a lot of these things end up getting handled if your offense is run competently and efficiently, where the offensive coordinator is looking at those things and how they need to be managed and how he's going to call plays for those situations. So it all kind of ends up fitting under his umbrella to a large degree.
It feels like it puts a lot of responsibility on Ben Arbuckle. But he's got some veteran members of that offensive staff that he can lean on. Like, it's not like it's all on Arbuckle.
Right. Yep.
So I'm very interested in what that dynamic is going to look like now that Venables is back calling the defense.
I agree.
What is that side? What are the mechanics going to look like when the defense comes off the field and OU's offense takes the field and they're still trying to work through some corrections on the sideline?
That's what I think is really makes the Goodwin hire mean a lot, is because if it is those moments and the defense is huddled up on the sideline while the offense is on the field, and it's a situation that requires the head coach is going to be out there kind of overseeing clock and game management stuff, you'll have an extra set of eyes that has called the defense, that understands how Venables wants it, that's going to be able to be over there with the iPad, making adjustments, talking through things. So, I mean, that's why I can't find a negative in it.
Let's get to call your shot because Tyler G. Ford 11 sees a bit of a negative in it. We asked you guys, what was your reaction to Brent Venables announcing that he will call the defense in 2025? And Tyler G. Ford 11 says he's experienced consistent issues with overall game management throughout his head coaching tenure. This move doesn't seem helpful at all in regards to that.
It's fair. And until we see it function on the field, it's a legitimate concern. But just going back to what we said, having an offensive coordinator that is on the field and having an extra set of eyes for the defense, both, you've got the inside backer coach and you've got Wes Goodwin, who's the outside backer coach, but also is going to be viewing things, I imagine, through a defensive coordinator's eyes. That's why that hire is critical for me. Now, again, we have to just see how it operates. It's a legitimate concern, but I personally think we're in a pretty good spot for it. And given Arbuckle and what I hope of the offense and, having an experienced quarterback out there that already knows the system, my hope is that it should all function pretty well. But we won't know until we see it.
This just popped into my head. So you've got Venables, who is one of the best DCs the sport's ever seen. Brandon Hall was a defensive coordinator.
Yep.
Goodwin was a defensive coordinator at Clemson the last 3 years. And Dreiling has been a defensive coordinator and also just was thrown in to being a head coach for a season at Utah State.
Right.
Those four guys, and this is something that people may not realize, all four of those guys can help Ben Arbuckle. Because all four of those guys have experience. How do we defend this offense? And Ben Arbuckle is going to gain a ton of knowledge throughout spring ball when those guys are laser focused on stopping his offense.
Yep.
Because that's what spring ball is. Now, you sprinkle some things in here and there that you're going to see from opponents. Coaches do that stuff and they don't tell you, but they do it. But those guys, these four guys that have all been DCs, are all going to be working together to try to stop Arbuckle in what he does. And I have to assume that's going to make Ben Arbuckle better at what he does.
Yeah, you got to find the holes in both sides of the ball. Arbuckle's going to be game planning and tweaking things and finding ways to punch a hole in what we do defensively, and all of those guys are going to be doing the same with the offense. So, I mean, you would hope that would end up putting out a pretty good product.
You would hope that if the offense just gets destroyed one day and the defense is doing a couple things that Arbuckle's going, whoa, wait, why are you guys doing that? There's going to be a dialogue there. And he's going to learn from those types of things. I mean, he's called plays. It's not like this is his first year doing it or anything like that, but he's still a very young coach. He's got more to learn. And now you've got, basically a whole defensive staff that has a ton of knowledge and experience.
And my expectation is that Oklahoma will be one of the best 3, maybe 4 defenses in the SEC. And when you're going up against that every day in practice, it's going to make you better.
Just stay healthy.
Stay healthy.
This other one comes from Juan Blanco, who says OU lost out on the second best defensive coordinator in the country and instead has decided to go with the first best one. That's pretty good. Nice. Well played, Juan Blanco.
I like that. Yeah, we turned down Knowles.
That's totally how it went, right? No, but I think that is a good way to view it. Like right under that one, Stacy Green says, a dog got to be a dog.
Yeah.
It's kind of how I'm viewing it, man.
To sum it up for me, I think we're in a good spot. Before all the Jim Knowles stuff started happening and I started to feel like Venables was going to call it for this season, I felt good. Felt really good, comfortable. All the things considered, I think it is a great position to be in. And I think the hires that he has made since then have not changed my mind. It's kind of reinforced it for me. As long as it all functions well together, which you never know until you see it. But as I look at it right now, I feel good.
Let's get these vibes higher, people. Come on, man.
Yeah. Well,
It's not
that's
changing
right.
until the
No,
fall, until they win games. That
nope.
Michigan
That's right.
game is going to be critical for the
Vibe check.
psyche of the fan base and for the psyche of this podcast. But one thing we can be very excited about, Ted, it was an awesome hoops weekend.
Woo, man, was it ever?
Let's recap it. But first,
Schwab Meat has been smoking the highest quality meats, hot dogs, and sausages in OKC since 1912. Go to schwabmeat.com to order any of Schwab's outstanding products and use promo code OKBreakdown for free shipping on orders over $75. Schwab dogs are iconic. I like to keep it simple. Just a bun, dog, mustard, ketchup. Also, the jalapeno cheddar smoked sausage is ridiculous. Schwabmeat.com, code OKBreakdown for free shipping on orders over $75. Schwab Meat, the official hot dog of game days. And head to the garage for hand smashed patties, butter toasted buns, and ice cold beer. It's the perfect spot to watch any big game. And with all the garage locations being open at 10 p.m. or later every night, it's the go-to late night spot. Visit eatatthegarage.com to find a location near you and order online from the garage in your neighborhood. Insurica's launched a new digital agency introducing Insurica Direct. Whether you're in Oklahoma or anywhere across the U.S., they've got you covered. From small business insurance and health insurance for your employees to insurance for individuals like home, auto, and even Medicare supplements. Insurica Direct's got it all. Start your journey today at insuricadirect.com. Remember, at Insurica, we specialize in you.
wow. Sooners win 97-67 over Vanderbilt.
Whoa.
Things were not looking good in the first half.
No.
Sooners, and it's been kind of a common theme at home in conference play, just struggling to start fast.
Yep.
Fell into a double-digit hole. And let's just be real. It felt like Vanderbilt was about to walk away with that thing.
It did. Yeah, they were hot right out of the gate. Edwards for them, number one, was red hot to start the game. We couldn't get stops, and it was kind of the same thing that we had seen. Like anytime that we did get a stop or would have something rolling, a bunch of just bad live ball turnovers and led to runouts and easy points on the other end. But about 4 or 5 minutes left to go in the first half, things flipped.
Dominated the middle eight.
Dominated the middle eight. That's
dominated, completely dominated the middle eight. And it was just wild to watch the energy change in that basketball game. It went from Jason Edwards hitting everything, McLaughlin just giving us all kinds of issues, to, hey, look at this nice run to finish the first half. And then, oh my gosh, they cannot miss a shot in the second.
Yep. It was crazy. We were down 12, 36-24 with 4 minutes to go in the first half and did a great job closing in it. And then at halftime, we were down 4 and then just came out red hot and never looked back.
Defensive intensity in the second half was excellent. Now,
Yep.
Vandy missed some shots.
They did.
They missed some shots that they were hitting in the first half. But I thought that the Sooners took it to a different level in that second half. And they came out of the locker room and they played their best basketball of the season. And now we know what it looks like. Offensive execution was crisp. I loved what I saw from Jeremiah Fears, getting to the basket, being more aggressive instead of jumping up in the air and trying to pass the ball, like going and scoring.
Yep.
Challenging guys at the rim. Like, he did a nice job. He also did a nice job of driving and kicking to open guys, and guys hit open shots.
Yep.
And let's be real, when you shoot over 70% in the second half, like you're probably going to win the game. But I
Some of
thought
the
Fears was awesome in that second half, especially.
He was, and we're different. Whenever he starts hitting some shots and he's feeling
Dude, he was
confident.
just he was out there like flexing for the entire second half every time they scored a basket. Like the body language, the demeanor, the attitude from him was complete 180 from what we saw last week.
Yeah, and once they started hitting shots, the what I loved was the ball movement, passing the ball around, finding open guys. I mean, that's what you want is hitting the easy, like the lob dunks and easy passes to a wide open player for easy dunks right around the rim. We had, I don't know, countless of those in the second half, and it stemmed from that ball movement, guys hitting those, they just kept kicking the ball around and they'd finally get to a wide open guy for a three and he'd bury it.
61 points in the second half.
Woo.
Vandy scored 27. Dude, in a game where it felt like it was slipping away from them in the first half, they won by 30. It was crazy.
Crazy. And once it turned, like we closed out the first half strong. And then when we came out the same way to start the second, Vanderbilt, they went in a hole, man. You want to talk about like Fears flexing and the crowd into it. They went into a hole. Vanderbilt did the second half, and it was a total change in body language from them. Whenever Edwards was hot early to what they looked like in the second half, they were a beaten team right from the get.
Sooners dominated them.
Yep.
In the second half, just completely overwhelmed them. And I continue to absolutely love Dayton Forsyth.
I know. He's great. He's great.
Tone setter.
That's right.
And how do we feel about Sparky as the nickname? I think he's too strong to be a Sparky. When I hear Sparky, I think of a smaller guy, and he's not a tall guy. I understand that.
Yeah.
But I think he's too physically strong to be Sparky. Your thoughts? Sparky makes me think of like a little guy that's like jumping around, like bling, 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 bling. That like when I think Sparky, that's what I think. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
I feel like he's too physically strong to be a Sparky.
Yeah, and he's got the black eye.
Yeah, but
Which
Sparkies don't have black eyes.
it adds a level of toughness there. And yeah, I don't know. Here's my problem though. I can't offer anything that I think is better right now.
Fair
So
enough.
until I can offer something that's better, I guess I'll just have to accept it.
Did T-Row give him that one? Is that
I don't
a
know.
Toby Rowland special?
I don't know. Could be.
Maybe the most important question coming out of this game. Does Porter Moser have to go sport coat and slacks full time now?
That was different. That's one of the first things that everyone at the house noticed is sport coat. Now the sport coat didn't last the entire time.
It did not.
You had to peel that sucker a couple of times, but I thought it was a sharp look.
He looked great. Now, I don't know. Was that a coaches versus cancer thing? Is he going to go back to the quarter zip? You can't go back to the quarter zip after your team plays like that, can you?
I think we'll see what level of like
Superstitious he
if
is.
he's a superstitious guy or what, because maybe that's why he was peeling it there in the first half. But time will tell. If he comes out in a nice looking sport coat, put together, nice outfit, we'll know, okay, this is a superstitious guy we've got on our hands, and rightfully so. I think everyone else that's been watching the Sooners is at this point. At least I am.
Sooners have a tremendous opportunity Tuesday night on the road against the number one team in the country. We'll see if they can carry over, if they can play. They're not going to shoot it as well as they shot it in the second half. That's just statistically improbable. But if they can bring that intensity on both ends of the floor and play with the speed that they played with, they can go give Auburn a game. Like if OU plays the way that they played the last 4 minutes of the first half and with the intensity that they played in the second half, They can play with anyone in the country.
Yep.
May
We've
not beat them. It's a tough
yeah,
ask to go beat Auburn on the road, but I'm just saying, like, that is by far the best we've seen them look this season.
we have seen this team put together some great stretches. The first half against A&M at home, the second half against Texas, this game against Vandy. Like we've seen it. Now, here's the thing about Auburn. We we have to find a way to start better. I'm not saying you have to start red hot, but you have to start better because if you jump into a hole against Auburn on the road, it's going to be borderline impossible to dig out of. So you have to start fast, playing good, efficient basketball.
I'm excited for Tuesday night. I'm
Yeah,
way more excited than I was a couple days ago.
no kidding. I agree. I agree. And man, to me, and I said before, maybe it's just an oversimplification of the whole thing, but I still feel like we go as Fears goes. If he's playing well, if he's hot, if he's driving and dishing, if he's getting to the rim, getting to the foul line, hitting a couple of outside shots, we're a different basketball team. If he's turning it over, body language is not great, he's struggling, he's frustrated, it brings us all down.
I don't know what this says about me. I was essentially watching it and mimicking his body language. Like they'd score and he'd be flexing, and I was like, yeah. I don't know what I was doing. I felt like an idiot, but it felt right in the moment, Ted.
It was great.
I loved the swagger he played with
Yep,
on
I agree.
Saturday. It was awesome. Gonna
Totally
need
agree.
that Tuesday night. And if he wants to be a one and done early lottery guy, going and playing the number one team in the country
Let's
in their
do it.
house, let's see what you got, young fella. Let's see it.
I like it though. Overall, very pleased with how the basketball team played. That was fun.
Whatever that was in Norman must be contagious because it traveled to Oklahoma City for Saturday night. The Thunder absolutely throttled the Sacramento Kings. And we'll get to the Luka Doncic trade because it overshadowed the Aaron Wiggins game, okay?
Yes, it did.
41 and 14 for Aaron Wiggins. Just a just a fantastic performance. And there's not many games where Wiggins is going to get that shot volume, obviously. But he got to let it fly, man, and it was a ton of fun to watch. And maybe my favorite part of the entire game was afterwards. All those guys dumping water on him,
Oh my
being
God, that was
fired
so
up for him,
funny.
celebrate that like that. The vibes for the Thunder are immaculate, man. And I thought that was an awesome display of just the chemistry that this team has. But that was a heck of a performance from Wiggins, man.
It
That
was
was awesome.
crazy. What was it like? Did they score 80? I think it was 83 in the first half.
Dude, it
And
was
sometimes you worry
stupid.
about whenever you get off to those, you have those real hot moments and get way out ahead that, you just kind of slow down a little bit and the other team comes roaring back on you and it's hard to get the flames lit again. But no problem with that Saturday night. They were making everything they looked at.
The old 82 in the first half, only 62 in the second. What happened, fellas?
Really fell off in the second.
144 points.
That's crazy.
Shea is just so good. His shot making continues. I mean, the level of his shot making continues to go up. His mid range stuff has been elite, but his stuff when it comes to finishing around the rim and his creativity around the rim, it just continues to get better. And I think that the play of the game for me was they're up, I think it was 27 points or something with 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. And Malik Monk tries to posterize Shea.
Mm-hmm.
And he blocks him at the rim and goes and lays it in on the other end. And I was just like, okay. Like, how many star players in that moment when you've got a lead like that are just going to say, hey, I'm not jumping? Nope.
Yep.
Not our star player, man. He went and took that and then went and scored on the other end. And that's why he's arguably the best player in basketball.
It's so funny how different it is watching NBA. Well, after watching college basketball all day,
Different sports.
and then watching the NBA, it's like it's almost a shock whenever someone misses a shot in the NBA. It's I don't know. It's funny, but that was a hell of a night. That was fun to watch. Wiggins, happy that he went off like that. Loved the way his teammates responded after the game with the water bath, and then I don't know about 50 Gatorade towels on the shoulder and on the head. That was funny.
Thunder were 19 of 46 from three. If they shoot around the 40% mark, no one in the
Good
league can
about
beat
it.
them in a series.
Yep.
Their defense is just too good. So more nights like that. Shooting the three, please. Only other thing Thunder related, we don't have to riot. Jalen Williams is an all-star.
Good, because my back's been hurting a little bit. I'm not in riot shape right now.
You're not in riot form.
Yeah, I'm glad. Whenever I saw that news, I was like, okay, good. That's I need that right now.
So clearly very deserving. So the Thunder will have Shea, J-Dub, Cason Wallace in the Rising Stars game, and then Mark Daigneault coaching it. Pretty cool to have the organization represented that way. Three players in the coach, not too shabby.
Pretty good. Pretty good. No shock they're in the position they're in.
Thunder Bucks tomorrow night.
Big one.
Tomorrow also happens to be my wife's birthday.
Oh, really?
And I said, honey, what do you want to do for your birthday? And I knew I had looked at the schedule. I did not mention the Thunder game. Honey, what do you want to do? And she looked straight at me. She went, what are you talking about? We're going to the Thunder game.
Bam.
And I said, I love you. I can make that work. We could do that. That sounds nice.
That'll be a good one.
Going to be a lot of fun. All right, Ted, let's finish up with our winners and losers of the weekend. But first, three things matter in banking: service, service, and service. And First Fidelity Bank's commitment to exceptional service is more than a promise, it's their foundation. FFB has been by your side for over a century, and they are honored to be a part of your journey. Banking isn't about where you've been, it's about where you are headed. Open an account at an award-winning bank today at ffb.com. At First Fidelity Bank, we go where you go.
Bishop McGuinness Catholic High School represents a tradition of educational excellence in Oklahoma City. Grounded in a faith-based education, Bishop McGuinness offers a college prep curriculum that includes 26 AP courses, participation in OSSAA athletics, and numerous clubs and organizations for students to join and grow. If you want to provide the best possible educational and spiritual development for your children, contact Bishop McGuinness Catholic High School or visit bmchs.org. Financial aid is available.
And go to opolisclothing.com and use promo code TED for 10% off our podcast merchandise and the best OU gear out there. That's opolisclothing.com and use promo code TED. Buttery soft and 10% off. As always, Ted, kicks off. Who do you have as your winner of the weekend?
The Lakers?
Dude, what happened?
I don't know.
You're a common sense guy.
Yeah.
Make it make sense to me. Help me understand what Dallas just did.
The only thing I can, which by the way, for those that are living on the moon, massive trade overnight between the Lakers and the Mavs. The Lakers send Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a first round pick to Dallas, who sends Luka, Kleber, and Markieff Morris to the Lakers. And Utah's included as well. But they hate Luka. Is that the only way I can view it? I mean, you got one of the best young talents in the entire league, and You send him to the Lakers?
I I have so many thoughts on this. First of all, this feels like organizational malpractice to me.
Yeah.
If and just follow me on this. And I know for a fact, I know a lot of people in Dallas. Luka Doncic did not want out of Dallas. In fact, he closed on a new house in Dallas last week. The
Ooh.
dude did not see this coming. He was completely blindsided by that.
Now, let me ask you this, because I also saw it reported that because of this trade, he can't get the Supermax contract, right? Or is that wrong?
That is correct. He was, I saw a tweet from Bobby Marks. He was eligible this summer for a 5 year, $345 million contract. He is no longer eligible for that,
Oh, that hurts.
which seems messed up. That seems like a flaw in the system, doesn't it? That
Well, I
you get
think it's
traded, like you get blindsided by a trade, and then because you get traded, you lose all that money. That doesn't seem very. That doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
well, this is like the inverse of why that wasn't that created to keep players at their local teams instead of going
Yeah,
off
but they
for
just
big money.
traded him without
I know.
telling him. I mean, it's like he didn't trade himself. He didn't
I
ask
know.
for a trade. So that's
Yeah.
why that seems like a flaw. Maybe I just don't understand why that's the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gave no indication to the Dallas Mavericks that he wanted out. And that's what Nico Harrison, their general manager, said in the press conference today. Jason Kidd didn't know about it until it was done.
Isn't it crazy that a trade of this magnitude, they kept it as tight-lipped as they did? Like none of the players knew, none of the Lakers knew. I saw now this is reported, including LeBron James didn't know about it.
It's because it's the most ridiculous trade of our lifetime, dude. It's never good if you're the Mavs. It's never good that Shams has to come out and say, "This is real. I have not been hacked." Like, no one could believe it. Did you see Durant's reaction? He was sitting on the bench, like some fan, it looked like fan or staffer gave him his phone when it happened, and he was looking at it. He's like, "What the? Why would they do that?"
The league has more viewers when the Lakers are good.
Ooh, conspiracy Ted is back. I'm listening.
Oh, I mean, that's it. Why else would like in a surprise move to everyone, why would a franchise who went to the finals last year send their one of the best young talents? How old is he?
He's about to turn 26 this month.
He's about to enter his prime, is what you're telling me. And they're trading him. And I realize that he is not without flaws. You know, he misses quite a few games. There's some injury stuff that piles up. You know, there's a lot of talk of his conditioning and gaining weight. I mean, he's not without flaws, but I mean, the guy you're getting back, Anthony Davis, maybe misses more games than anyone and has been hurt pretty much his entire tenure in the NBA to some degree or another. So
He's also like 5 or 6 years older than Luka Doncic.
I know that's what I'm saying. Like to the Lakers,
Rob Palinka had to answer the phone and go, "Wait, you're serious?"
did they like
Did
without me knowing, did they change like the landscape, the conference landscape of the NBA, or did they trade him to a conference rival?
they traded them They traded Luka Doncic for the bare minimum that they could have gotten for him, by the way,
Yeah.
to to another team in the Western Conference. It is the craziest trade of my lifetime. And it's clear there's only one reason. Nico Harrison, their GM, does not like Luka Doncic, does not like him being the tone setter of that franchise and that team. That is the only explanation. He even said in the press conference, he was like, when I told our owner laughed. Which they've got a new owner. I can't believe he let him do this, but if you want to,
The owner laughed.
that's what he said. Those are his words.
Well, he must have gave him a hell of a sales pitch after that.
If you want to get out of the Luka Doncic business, you're tired of him being out of shape. You're tired of the injury issues. You want to move on. Okay. But you shop him. There are a lot of teams that would have put together huge trade packages for Luka.
Yeah.
This is the absolute least you could have gotten for one of the league's best players, an international superstar that is about to turn 26 years old.
Yeah.
It's insane, dude.
That's what I'm saying. That's why, like, if you want to go conspiracy theory on it, that's why it has some credibility, because not only did they get the least amount they could for him and sabotage their own franchise, they sent him to the Lakers.
Could you imagine the Thunder trading SGA and this being the return?
No.
We would,
No.
there would be a riot in Oklahoma City.
Have we checked on Dallas? Is there a riot in Dallas?
I know a lot of Mavs fans. I have never seen a fan base like just so hurt, confused, like they feel like almost like they've been betrayed
I can
by the
understand
leadership
that.
of the organization, man. And I don't blame it. Like there had been, obviously we had the playoff series last year with the Mavs winning, and there had been this fun rivalry that had been built between the Thunder and the Mavs. And it has a lot to do with that series last year and just the proximity, right? We're close. And like it was starting to get really, really fun. And I was hoping we were going to see it again in the playoffs, and maybe we still do, but Luka was the central figure of it. And when it comes to sports hate, he was a very fun guy to sports hate.
Yeah.
And now he's just gone. So I'm like bummed out. It's weird.
He's still as hateable as ever wearing the Lakers uniform.
Yeah, but it's not the same. He's all the way out in
know.
LA now.
I saw the headline from the LA Times, and it was like on the exact date, I don't know how many years ago it was, whenever they made the Pau Gasol trade that ended up winning however many championships. I was like, this is exactly what I'm saying. They handed the Lakers they handed him to the Lakers in the middle of the night without telling anyone. Nobody knew about it. No teams could say, "Oh, Luka's, what can we put together to get in the sweepstakes here? See what can happen." No. No one's allowed. Nobody's allowed to put together a better offer at all. It's done.
Suspicious.
Suspicious as hell.
And also, like a dereliction of duty by Nico Harrison. Right?
How does the owner go from laughing to being okay with it?
I don't know. If you would have told me, okay, we're trading Luka to the Lakers for Anthony Davis and Max Christie, I would say, well, we're getting Austin Reeves too, right? And like 3 first rounders or 2 first rounders, right? You and we are basketball morons. And I truly believe this. If the owner of the Mavericks called us and would have said, "Hey, we're putting you two idiots in charge of trading Luka. Come to Dallas. You're in charge of it." We would have gotten a better haul than this. You
We
don't
definitely would
trade
have.
this guy for that. And it's
Because
no
I'm
offense.
not
Like,
an Anthony Davis guy.
you have never been an Anthony Davis guy.
Not an Anthony Davis guy.
But
I, I recognize that he's incredibly talented, but you, you, yeah, if they would have put me in charge of trading Luka, it would have been don't trade Luka. Unless I was in a great position to sabotage the Mavericks. That's what I would have done. Now, I don't know. Basketball wise, no idea what this means. I've seen a tremendous amount of cope from some Dallas Mavs fans trying to convince themselves that actually this team is better off with Kyrie and Anthony Davis and the front court that they're going to have. So, okay, well, wake me
Luka
up.
Doncic carried them to the finals last
Yeah,
year.
I was like, wake me up whenever Anthony Davis is hitting step back 30 footers whenever the game's tied in the fourth quarter.
Do we welcome the Mavs fans that are done with the franchise after this?
No.
Do we just say, sorry, guys?
Well,
Because there's going to be some Mavs people trying to hop on the Thunder bandwagon after this. I'm dead serious.
I would
People
say,
are, some Mavs fans are like, forget this. I'm done.
yeah,
They
well, that's
thought Luka
fine.
Doncic was going to be in their lives for like the next, what,
15 years.
10, 15 years?
Yeah. Well, here's what I'll say. If you want to come on board, fine. But you don't come on board until they dig themselves out of this hole, which is, you know, as I check the math, I don't know, took us 12 years to dig out of the Harden trade, right?
We went to the finals, dude.
That's true. But
Well, I guess they went to, you know what I mean? Like, we were, should have gone to the finals. Did not go to, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. But I don't know how you, I guess you can recover. Do you know what the first round pick is?
2029. Dude, it's an insane
Oh,
trade. Like, there's a reason every person that covers the NBA was shocked.
don't the Thunder possibly have a benefit from this in one of their first round picks?
They own the
Lakers?
Mavs like
Or is it the
2028
Mavs?
first rounder or something like that.
Yeah.
I I'm sorry, Mavs fans. I have no other explanation other than Nico Harrison is a plant by the Lakers to sabotage your organization.
I
Got
don't know,
nothing
man.
else for you.
I don't it is incredibly odd at a minimum, and I perhaps like you said, it's sabotage is what it feels like. It is dereliction of duty, I think is how you put it. I mean, yeah, I it's crazy. I don't know. I wish I had more to offer on it, but I can't rationalize anything behind it.
Do
There's
you
no way to view it and say that Dallas did a good job and is going to come out. They're not even going to come out even.
maybe they go win a title in the next couple of years and you go, okay. But that doesn't change the fact that that guy's the face of the organization. The argument can be made he's the face of that city. And a lot of people pointed this out. Do you know what it says on that Dirk Nowitzki statue out front of the stadium?
Uh,
Loyalty never fades away.
oh man.
And that is something, not to pile on Mavs fans. You think players want to go play for Nico Harrison now after what he just pulled? Uh, just traded the face of the franchise, one of the best players in the world with no heads up, no discussion. I That's not going to sit well with a lot of NBA players, man. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's wild. That is not what Dirk meant whenever he grabbed the mic and yelled, "Shut it down, let's go home." But I think that's what the Mavs fans are feeling. Shut it down.
Unbelievable, dude. Who do you have as your loser of the weekend?
I had to go with people that, for no fault of their own, turn into a meme, and it could happen to us at any moment. Any person, it could happen to you at any moment, and it happened to an assistant coach in the OU LSU game when Kim Mulkey turned and slapped the clipboard and everything out of her hand, and she was just left standing there like this for an extended amount of time. Pretty funny.
First of all, tremendous comeback
Oh,
by
what a
Jenny
game.
Baranchek's team. That was a wildly entertaining game. Almost completed the comeback, but just fell a little short. Do you know who that assistant coach is?
No.
That's Seimone Augusts. She was the first pick of the WNBA draft, and was like, I'm guessing here, but I'm guessing she was somewhere between like an 8 and 10 time WNBA All Star. She was the Finals MVP.
Oh my God.
She's not just some random person. She's one of the best basketball players in the last couple decades. Like she
I don't
was
think it would have mattered.
incredible.
Nick Saban was holding the clipboard. Kim Mulkey was on one, turned and instantly just smacked. That was great. I know
She
people hate her and she's very hateable, but for whatever reason, I think she's like one of the most entertaining people in all of sports to watch.
she is absolutely electric on the sideline. Bad electric and good electric. But yeah, okay, I looked it up. 8-time WNBA All Star, 2011 Finals MVP, uh, won 4 WNBA titles, and won 3 gold medals.
Wow.
And she's just getting clipboards smacked out of her hand by Kim Mulkey.
Oh, that's great. That's so awesome. But what a game, man. That the comeback was what they were down like as much as like what 24-25 at some point and came roaring back and it was heated. Had some ejections in the game. That was great. That's what you're looking for. Obviously, wish we would have came out of there with the win, but still incredibly entertaining game.
The ejections were soft.
I know,
They
which
just
you know,
they just like barely pushed each other. What are we doing?
were they the only thing I could think of because I didn't see every play of the game. Was it like really heated and losing control up to that point or something?
That's not how I viewed it. And they're
Right.
actually they're playing right now. They're losing to Kentucky as we're recording this, but still time left. Down 8 minutes to go in the fourth. But I didn't think that was an ejectable offense personally, but
No, there's
I
got to
guess
be
my
more
opinion
to
doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's got to be a little bit more to it than that. I mean, uh, it was an incredible flop though by Reagan Beers. That was pretty good. But that
Just
was
coming to her defense too.
yeah,
Don't eject someone for being a good teammate.
little shove on the shoulder, never hurt anyone.
Just 2 women talking, man. It's fine.
Right. That's right.
Hey, Bronchek, that squad's fun to watch though.
They are.
Fun to
They are.
watch. All right, let's get to my winner and loser of the weekend. But first,
We are brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code OK Breakdown to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Got my eyes on the big game. Super Bowl next Sunday and be selecting Patrick Mahomes more than point 0.5 passing yards? Yes, that is correct. Patrick Mahomes, point 0.5 passing yards. They're basically just giving you that square. And then I'm taking Saquon Barkley, less than 114 and a half rushing yards. Prize Picks puts its members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, you can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code OKBreakdown to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
And we are public rec guys now. Hoodies are awesome.
Yes,
Pants are awesome. Wear them all the time. Extremely comfortable. Athleisure at its finest. Go to publicrec.com and use code OKBreakdown for 20% off. Guys, you got to get some of these pants from Public Rec. The versatility of the pants is fantastic. You can wear them to work because they look like dress pants, even though they feel like sweatpants. They're also perfect for the golf course because the proprietary blend of performance materials provides the perfect combination of breathability and stretch while still holding its form. So this February, treat yourself right because comfort is always in season. Upgrade to Public Rec and feel the difference. For a limited time only, you can get 20% off at Public Rec by using code OKBreakdown at checkout. Just head to publicrec.com, use code OKBreakdown, and you're all set. Oh, and when they ask how you found them, be sure to mention our show. It really helps us out. Publicrec.com, code OKBreakdown. My winner of the weekend, John Calipari.
Bam.
That had to feel so good. Things ran their course. Things ran the course at Kentucky, right? Fan base was fed up with him. He assessed the situation, leaves for Arkansas. And up to this point, season hasn't been great for the Razorbacks. But I can only imagine how good it felt for him to take that Arkansas team into Rupp Arena and walk out with a win. That had to be incredibly satisfying to walk out of that building with a win if you're John Calipari. It was an awesome game. Energy was off the charts. But to go in there, get 89-79 win, he handled it beautifully in the postgame press conference, Ted. He did it gloat. He didn't do anything. He was classy about it, but those group texts were popping off out of that one.
No, there's no doubt. Yeah. But honestly, leading up to it, I was like, man, this is really a coach's dream to where you can have an entire fan base, like this storyline that everyone's been harping on for a long time. And it's like, hey, I'll be the lightning rod. But what no one is talking about is the actual basketball game. And it's like you're going in under the cover of darkness where no one even realizes there's a game. Okay. They're playing really well. They've done some good stuff. They've had some big wins. Arkansas not playing nearly as well. Are we going to boo? Are we going to cheer? Well, what should we do? No one's talking about, well, first you should win the basketball game, right? So it sets up perfect for a coach to get his team ready to play in a great environment. And that was like kind of sitting there is like, well, how are they going to respond to him coming in? Well, I don't know, but how are they going to respond if he comes in and beats him? Like, to me, that is the real story.
May want to defend the three-point line, boys.
Woo.
Certainly helps things when you shoot 52% from three on the road. 13-25 for the Hogs. And, that'll get it done right there. But this game was almost like a perfect microcosm of college athletics now. You had this coach that, the fan base was disgruntled. He kind of gets pushed out, leaves on his own accord, right? Takes the Arkansas job. Brings three of his Kentucky guys with him. and Thero, Wagner, and Avicic all balled in this game. Thero had 21. Wagner, who was just awesome in the second half, had 17. And then Avicic hit some big shots. Those guys were all playing at Kentucky last year.
Yep.
So I was sitting there going, hey, this is kind of awesome. It also kind of sucks. I was kind of torn from that aspect, but it was a really, really entertaining watch. And there was some high level shot making in this game, some serious talent on the floor between those two teams. And it's going to be interesting to see if this can be some type of turning point in Arkansas season.
Yeah. No, I agree. Um, it just takes sometimes the right win at the right time against the right opponent in the right venue to have everyone start believing and, recognize that, if you do the things that you've been coached to do, if everyone really comes together and plays good team basketball, and there's, like you said, there's some shot making in there as well. Like, how much can you count on some of that stuff? Maybe not as much, but you can count on all the others, all the other little things. And I don't know, that's why sports are great, isn't it?
It was pretty awesome. And I'm not a big Coach Cal guy, but there's you get a certain respect, man, when you go into the hornet's nest and you walk out with the win. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you go into the cat's den and you walk out victorious. It had to feel really good for him, those players, and those Arkansas fans had to go, this is awesome.
Oh, and those Kentucky fans, they were there for game day all day long, cheering, going crazy. That's going to be a tough one on the program there.
Yeah. Mark Pope's going, dang it. My loser of the weekend, and kids listen to this. So I'm just going to say, I'm not going to get into all the details here, but let's just say 9 massage therapists have accused Justin Tucker of inappropriate behavior back in 2012, between 2012 and 2016. And now this is America. You are innocent until you are proven guilty. And he has come out and vehemently denied any wrongdoing in a statement where he said the allegations are unequivocally false. But yikes. This is a guy that is, I think it's fair to say, widely considered the best kicker ever.
Yeah. He's
And
been incredible for a long time now.
the timing of him having by far his worst season ever, and then these allegations coming out, it's hard to imagine those things are not connected.
He knew he had a ticking time bomb on his hands, didn't he?
Your legacy can change quickly, and the legal process will play out. We saw that with the Deshaun Watson situation. And the NFL, what did they suspend him? 6 games, something like that?
Is that
We'll
right?
we'll see if something like that happens with Justin Tucker. But the bottom line is the legal process will play out, but when it comes to the court of public opinion, no one's ever looking at this guy the same.
That's
It's
the
just
reality.
just the reality of it. And I I don't really know what to say other than it's strange to go to that many massage therapists.
Bit of a red flag.
And this is a guy I truly believe he was going to the Hall of Fame. I'm not so sure anymore.
Right.
I Dude, what are you doing?
It's crazy. And, it's the NFL had a, with the Deshaun Watson deal that drug on for, you know, a long time, and paints a negative perception of the league. That whole situation finally in the rearview mirror, and here we go again. So I know the NFL probably not thrilled with this situation, but I don't know. It's what else can you say? You have to see how it plays out, but things clearly not looking well for Justin Tucker, to say the least.
This is a sports podcast. It's hard to imagine that anyone had a worse weekend in sports than Justin Tucker,
Right.
which is why he is my loser of the weekend. Will this thing will run its course, but yikes.
Yikes.
Birthday shout outs. Welcome to the world. This is just a horrible transition. I mean, my gosh. I mean, wow. Birthday shout
Can we
outs.
put an ad read or something in there real quick?
I mean, honestly, we probably should, but here we go. Welcome to the world. Baker, Allen, Brian, Coffee. Oh, four namer. Nice.
Happy first birthday to Rory Doe.
Happy 10th birthday to Jeffrey King.
Happy 28th birthday to Sonia Crawford.
And happy birthday to Jeff Newman. On that note, episode 498 in the books. Do we have to try to get someone on, like someone cool on for episode 500?
Perhaps, yeah.
Who do you think we should?
I don't know.
Baker's season's over.
Ooh, that would be good.
That's probably vacation time, right? He's about done with the Pro Bowl today. We'll send the text. We'll see. We'll see what happens. How about this? If you're still listening to the podcast at this point, you are an absolute diehard, and I love you for it. Let us know who you want us to try to get for episode 500.
There you go.
Tag them, do the whole thing. Like, hey, come on for episode 500. Just we'll try. We'll throw multiple feelers out there. We'll try to get someone cool. It'll probably just end up being me and you.
Probably so.
Dang it. We'll have a new podcast that'll drop on Wednesday. Just a reminder, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you check out our website, okbreakdown.com. Hope you all have a great start to your week. Until next time, we appreciate you all for listening. Do we always do, Oklahoma? Take care of each other.